What if I told you that the secret to your most productive garden this summer starts right now in May? Today, I shall be sharing my 18 absolute best seeds to sow in the month of May. May is a magical month in the gardening calendar. The soil is warming up and the daylight is long. But if you wait too long, you could miss the window to get your summer crops established. I learned the hard way. My first May as a gardener, all I put out was some courgettes, some salads and a couple of tomato plants. And by July, the garden looked quite sad. Fast forward to now, and I've learnt over the years exactly what works best for us here in our no-dig Zone 9A garden. And I'm going to be passing that list on to you. First thing we need to start with is 3 things that if you haven't sown them yet and you still want to grow them, this is last chance saloon. And they really need to be sown in the first week of May if you're to stand any chance of getting that amazing harvest. They include sprouts, Brussels sprouts. If you haven't sown them yet, sow them in the first week of May. You saw a couple of 3 videos back that myself and Mrs. W, we sowed our winter harvesting squash. And if you haven't done that yet, again, the first week in May is when you need to be sowing those. Then there's leeks. Now these ones were sown all the way back on the 1st of February. They're looking really good. And it won't be many more weeks now before they go into their final growing positions. But if you still want to grow leeks, this really is your last chance. You need to get them in right at the beginning of May. They'll probably harvest a bit later on in the year than ours will, but you should still get a harvest even if it goes into the following year. Now the next set of seeds that I'm going to be going through, you can sow at any time during the month of May. Many of them you've already seen us sow. That's because we live in Zone 9A. Some of you that live in zones that are lower than ours and have a much cooler climate, you'll be able to sow all of these things this month. We're going to start with the courgettes. They are something that can be sown anytime during the month of May. Usually a great month to sow them in because by the time you get to the end of May, they can go outside into your plots no problem because all of the danger of frost will have gone. Next, the French and runner climbing beans. We've grown 2 varieties this year, White Lady and Lady Di, and our old favourite, which is Cobra for the French climbing beans. We also sowed some Bolotti. All of these can be sown during the month of May. You can also be sowing beetroot and chard. We like to multi-sow ours, but you could just sow them that you get a single plant from each one. We just find that with a multi-sow method, we get more harvest in the space. And of course, the good old lettuce. We tend to pick the leaves from ours from the outside and then let some more grow back. And it works really well for us. But if you're the type of person that likes to have a nice hearted lettuce, then you want to be sowing these every 3 to 4 weeks. So that as you start to do your first harvest, the next ones are then ready for you to have. In our last video, you saw us sow some seeds for some brassicas that we're going to be eating during the autumn months. Still not too late to do that. That extends into the early part of May. And if you sow those now, you will get some lovely harvests of your brassicas during the autumn months. May is also the time when myself and Mrs. W look to sow our kale seeds. Kale is an amazing vegetable. By sowing it now, it takes around about 90 days or so before you get your first pickings. So by August, you should be picking your first leaves of kale. And the reason why it's so amazing is that you'll continue doing that through the autumn months. Then it'll give itself a little break. It'll be a bit cold. It won't die. In fact, it thrives with the cold, kale does. And then it's going to come back again at the turn of the year and give you all lovely, fresh, new leaves. It's a bit like a pick and come again kind of vegetable. You can take some leaves and it will send some new ones up. All you need to do is to keep picking it. Don't let the outer leaves get too big. They're much better when they're a bit younger. We're going to be sowing 2 different varieties this year, which we do most years, which is dwarf curly leafed kale, and we're also going to pop in some Cavalloo Nero. Now when it comes for all of those lovely vegetables that you grow to eat with your salad dishes, you need to keep making sowings of them every few weeks. In fact, I have a rule that as something is planted into the ground, like salad onions, lettuce, anything like that, I then sow the next lot. And then by the time you're harvesting the ones you put in the ground, these ones will already be on their way. And you just keep that continuity going so that you can continue eating all of this lovely produce all through, hopefully, what will be a very warm summer. Next, there is the herbs. If you haven't sown any herbs yet, they can be sown, a lot of them actually, through most of the year. But May is a good month of the year to sow them in because the weather is warm. As we said earlier, the lengthening daylight means that they can grow away nice and quickly. And I mean, you could be going through things like oregano, basil. Basil is really good to go with your tomatoes. So get those started and you can plant them out with your tomatoes when you transplant those. Parsley, another can't do without herb really for us. Mrs. W started some more off in here. We already have some, but we tend to dot this about wherever there's a space because we do use quite a lot of it. And of course, that's without all the lovely flavours of thyme, dill, coriander and chives. You can see here that we have many of these herbs already in our herb bed. And they really do enhance the flavour of your recipes. So it's nice just to set aside a little raised bed, raised container. They grow perfectly well in containers. And just to have your own herbs, fresh herbs that is, to add to your dishes. Then there's the sweet corn. You can see here that ours have germinated well. I sowed 2 seeds per cell, and the majority of them, 2 seeds came up. Mrs. W has a tear in her eye already, I can see. Because one of them from each cell is going to have to go.
Poor little sweet corn.
But although we could get away with sowing them towards the end of April, and of course we've had a very favourable spring so far here in Norfolk in the UK, May is also equally a good time to sow them. You can more or less say that the temperatures are there for them to be able to be sown in May and get your harvest in August or September. We've chosen to sow a variety we grew last year, and that was early bird. And I do quite like that because it becomes ready when our grandchildren are here and Mrs. W's looking after them, and they absolutely love the taste of sweet corn. And that one comes ready in August when they're on their school holidays. Then at month's end, it's time to sow your swede. I do get a lot of comments from people, especially once we're harvesting our hours during the autumn months, and they'll say to me, oh, my swedes haven't come to anything, and you know, they haven't really done very well. So I'll do a bit of a video on that about swede to try and help you out, because myself and Mrs. W have learnt many lessons over the years. We used to try and grow swede and didn't actually really used to work that well, did it?
No.
But we now do get actually quite good harvests of swede. And Mrs. W has many favourites in the vegetable garden, and I can safely say that swede definitely is one of those vegetables that she certainly could not do without with during the autumn and winter months. And then we'll look to what you can be sowing outside. It's still not too late to be sowing your potatoes or parsnip. The parsnip really does want to go in probably in the first week of May, because they do have a long growing season. And certainly potatoes, they really need to be either in your plots or in your containers by mid-May. After that, you're running the risk, if blight is about, of your potatoes getting them, and they won't grow and get big enough by the time it's a possibility that that could strike. And then there's the lovely carrot. You saw me sow some carrots earlier in the year in a container. They're coming on really well. Saw my show carrots, by the way. They're looking really good. We got some good germination, and I'm now ready to thin those so that there's just one carrot growing at each station. We've had really good germination of carrots in the outdoor plots. Not so good in the raised bed, but we'll probably just need to sow some more on those. It has been really dry here in Norfolk, and although we've been trying to keep them nice and moist, because the seed does need to be moist, the winds that we've been having have been drying the raised bed out. But that's nothing that we can't fix. But with carrots, you can be doing a follow-on sowing every 2 to 3 weeks. Do short little rows, and then you'll have nice fresh carrots, the size you want them, and provide, that word again, continuity of harvests. Lastly, you could sow some more spinach if you so wished. This was actually sown about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's ready to go out into the plots now so that we can get its lovely harvest. Really, if you're going to do this, it really needs to be probably on the first day of May. It's not going to be too long now before this spinach will want to rise to flower and make a seed head. Usually sometime in June or July, out in the outside plots, it wants to do that. These here are getting towards the point where they want to do it. It's not going to be long. We want the space anyway very soon for the tomatoes to go in here, but we've had some lovely harvests from that and those that we had in the greenhouse. In fact, Mrs. W has already taken those up from the greenhouse because they really were sending up a big stalk,
Yeah,
weren't
they were.
These will just follow on. And the next time that you'll be sowing spinach, keep watching our channel and I'll tell you the next time when it's ready. All of these wonderful vegetables I shall be growing in my no-dig Norfolk garden, meaning less work and better soil health. Always remember that the healthier your soil is, the better your vegetables shall be. When you feed the soil life and not the plant, Mother Nature will take care of the rest. The right choices of seeds to sow now will mean that you will have plenty of harvest throughout the summer months and also a little bit to share. Which of these seeds are you going to be sowing in May? Let us know in the comments. We do like to hear what you're all up to. If you like what you've seen, then do give us a thumbs up. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for our twice weekly no-dig vegetable gardening tips. Have a great rest of your gardening week, and we shall see you very soon.